with me while I explore what to do and what not to do when installing a porch floor. Here we go. I had originally planned to continue with the balustrades on the porch for the front door, and there's actually a sort of a second story porch, but I've decided against that because these balustrade pieces would be the equivalent of 2 feet high. And I mean, they do look nice, but they're not the right proportion. A porch railing would not be only 2 feet high. So I did get in some new railings. This is a more appropriate height for a porch railing. So I got those. I had this corner post that I had ordered one of from the UK supplier. I absolutely love it. I had planned to get more. I only ordered one because I just wanted to see if I was going to like it, if it was going to work. And now, of course, I can't get any more. I have seen other posts online. I don't love them as much as I love this one, but I will have to make do with something else unless I can find somebody on Etsy who's maybe got a few of these in stock. I also ordered, I just got this today, so I haven't even opened it, some corner trim, which I will put at the top, and my thinking right now is to cut these down somehow and make a bit of trim for the top of the porches. So I did buy some extras of those so that I can try to figure that out. So that's what's happening with the exterior of the dollhouse. A little nervous about doing that porch. I'm usually a little nervous about doing anything. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm showing you this picture because this floor is what I'd like to do for the porch in my dollhouse. A basic idea. Now, I'm not sure how clearly this is showing up, but it might show up clearer if I put my glasses on. Yeah. Okay, so we have floorboards going from the steps, which I will put on my house, you know, going in that direction toward the door, and then there's one piece of trim board across the front. So I had cut a bunch of these. This was, I think this is walnut. I don't remember for sure, but I think this is walnut. But I had these thin walnut pieces, and I had a good sized sheet of it, and I said, all right, perfect. So I cut those out, measured, you know, laid out my floorboards, cut them for the porch, and got them all cut, and had exactly enough to do the porch, but not enough to do that trim piece in the front. So I didn't want to waste all the boards that I cut, so I had this one, which I believe is cherry, and this one, which I know is basswood. And now I'm trying to decide if I can meld these together somehow. Right here are 4 different dyes. Little Fair's interior wood dye, which I like to use because it doesn't stink the way that varnish does. And I have a lot of trouble with very strong smells and the irritable larynx syndrome. So this works nicely for me. It has no odor. It's water-based, cleans up really easily, and it comes in lots of great colors. So right here, these are the you know, end pieces, the scraps of wood from after I cut the floorboards that I needed, and these are 4 colors that I tried to that I did samples of. So zoom in a little closer. So we have dark walnut, we have English oak, we have light oak, and this one is a driftwood gray. So I like all of them, but one of my concerns is if I use, you know, a different wood for the outside trim piece, are any of these going to match well enough? So if I put them this way, you can see. Clearly, the light oak does not match. The driftwood gray does match pretty well. I'm not sure that you can see this on camera, but it does look a little more solidly covered on the cherry than it does on the walnut. The English oak, again, it looks a little darker here, but not really too bad. And I do think the dark walnut looks pretty close on both of these woods. It matches pretty well. So now let's try that against the basswood. And to be clear, I have more basswood and I could cut my floor strips out of basswood and make sure that it matches. But this stuff is not cheap and I really hate to waste the ones that I cut. I really thought I had enough, and you know, measuring is tricky. Now if you look at these, you can see these colors match much more closely. I think so. I think I could do this trim, the basswood trim, with the walnut floor planks that I cut. So I think any of those colors matches well enough with even with the two types of wood. And remember, one of them is going to be going in a different direction, so you know it might look a little bit different even if they were the same woods, because the light would be hitting the grain a little differently. So I'm happy with my decision to go ahead with the boards that I cut and to use this for the trim on the outside. Now the other question then becomes, which of these do I want to use on the house? So let's go over there. I'm really undecided. I don't want the really dark one. I think that's out. I probably should have done bigger samples so I could get a better sense. I think the gray would look pretty cool. That dark wood would look pretty good, and that light wood would look pretty good. So I'm not putting planks up here, I'm just leaving the grit up here. And I'm kind of leaning now, I think, toward the middle one. On camera it's reading a little more red, but it actually is very similar in tone in real life to this gritty stuff that we have on the roof. So I think that one would probably work pretty well. Okay. All right, at some point I just have to make a decision and live with it. So I'm going to go ahead with this one, which is the light oak, I believe. I'll go check that. About these wood dyes is you can get very different colors depending on how many coats you use. So this side here I've got one coat on these pieces, and here I've added a second coat, and it dries, it's just barely damp to the touch, and you know, I just finished this a couple minutes ago. It dries very quickly, but you can see quite a lot of difference when you add that second coat. It really gives a much richer color, but this could be a perfectly lovely color in, you know, certain applications as well, so it's just whatever you like. Quite a difference between the two coats though. Now what I have here is a template of my porch floor with cutouts for the trim, and if you notice it's not perfectly straight, so I cut this from graph paper, and this is straight along the line. That's the wall of the house. But because my assembly is not perfectly straight, no matter how careful I was, the front of the porch is now at an angle. So what I'm going to do is fold under a 1/4 inch here, which is where my outside trim is going to be, and then when I put the boards on, they'll be a little bit uneven in the front, and I'll even them up afterward. I will start gluing the boards to the template. I'm leaving a little in the front that does not have glue on it, so that I don't get glue all over my cutting mat, but this will extend beyond the paper and be trimmed off anyway, so I'm going to leave that little bit unglued. Almost forgot to leave my 1/4 inch. You can see that it covers this cutout right here, and that's okay. Once the glue is dry, I'll trim that out afterward. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but the white paper is actually showing through a little bit, and I'm kicking myself in the butt because I know this. I've done floors before, and I know that that will show. However, I'm also seeing that these pieces need to be sanded. The wood dye raised the grain quite a bit, so now they're looking really fluffy. So I'm going to continue what I'm doing. I'm going to sand this as a solid piece and put one more coat of dye on it, which will seep into the paper, and then I should be okay. Okay, so I've just trimmed the front end of the porch rails, and now I need to put the trim around. I'm gonna actually, I think I'm gonna put the trim on actually after I glue this to the base of the porch on the dollhouse. So my next thing here is I want to sand this just very lightly with a fine grade paper. This is a 400 little mini sander that I got off of Amazon. I got them in some different, a few of them so that I can keep different sizes of paper on there. So I'm just going to do a little light sanding with the 400. And now I'm going to cut around my template. This is going to be tricky. This last plank here has barely anything to grip, so this one may just, I'm sure it's just going to fall off, and I'll have to cut it and glue it onto the base of the porch separately, but we'll see. Now the silly thing that I did, and I really do know better, is that I glued my wood planks to white paper, which means the white is showing in between the planks. And I know better because I've done flooring inside my dollhouse already, and I know that you're supposed to do it on dark paper so that that doesn't show. But what I'm going to do to try to save the situation, because I did like using the graph paper, I found it very helpful for making sure that things weren't starting to, skew off in one direction or the other. Because I've sanded this back, I do want to put one more coat of wood dye on it, and I'm going to just make sure that I get that wood dye down in between all those cracks there, and hopefully we'll be good. I'm sure this is probably not the best way to do this. I think in the future I would use dark paper, but if I like having the lines on there, which I do, I'll have to mark up the paper first so I can just keep track of the straight of grain, so to speak. I think this is working for this situation. I wish I had some bricks. The number of times I've wished I had some bricks to weigh something down. This is good and heavy. I just noticed that the boards are just curling up a little bit, and so I'm just going to weight this down a bit while it dries. What else can I put on this? Anything flat, bottomed, and heavy. So I'm going to leave that to dry a little bit. It probably won't dry completely with this on there, but if I can get it pretty dry, then I hopefully can take this off and let it finish drying. This stuff does dry pretty quickly, so I just want to try to weight it down for, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, and we'll see where it's at. And then I'm hoping that when I glue it down, it will stay nice and flat. So we'll leave that to dry for a bit. Okay, so the camera is balanced on the bed. I will try my best not to wiggle it too much, but it's the only place I have to put it. So let's try gluing down the floor. I did take a marker, a really fine point marker, and touch up little bits of the paper in between the boards a little bit more, where I felt like it still hadn't gotten very dark, probably because of the glue on the paper. Okay, here we go. Alright. And I should have dry fit this first because it doesn't actually fit in this corner. Lordy. Okay, it took some fiddling and a little bit of maneuvering with the craft knife. Somehow I managed to not cut out for this column right here on my template. I don't know how I did that. I'm making so many mistakes. I should have dry fit this before I tried to glue it down because I really had to mess with it. There's a, if you can see right here, there's a piece that's sticking up a little funny. I'm going to have to sand that down and touch that up. But overall, I like the way it looks. Alright, the glue has been drying on this overnight. Weighed it down with a bunch of things. I did put this edging on here, which I did not do on camera because I really just couldn't get the camera in a place where I could work around it and not bounce it all over the place while I was cutting and measuring this. So you can see that the woods don't match perfectly, but at this angle, you know, most people aren't going to be standing above it looking down, and I think it's close enough. And when you're looking at it kind of this way, so this is about the angle I'm looking at, I think it looks absolutely fine. So I did miter it here. This piece wasn't quite long enough. I had to do a join, so I did a miter right there, which I think has, you know, blended in pretty well. I might just touch that up with a teeny bit more dye. Mitered here, and then I wrapped it there. And I probably need to just actually sand that down just a smidge right there. So all in all, I'm really happy with how that looks. I like it quite a lot. I will put a sealer on it. I got a little scratch right there that I want to touch up, a couple little spots I want to touch up with the dye. And then I will put a sealer on it. And then I'm going to get to work on the porch. Okay, the porch floor is done. I've just done the last little touches on it. I'll show you what those were. So you remember I had some little scratches. I touched those up. I did put an additional coat of the wood dye on the edge piece, which you remember was made with the lighter wood, the basswood, instead of the walnut. So that just darkened it up a little more so it blends better now. And then I've just put a coat of sealer on this to protect it. It also helps keep the color nice and rich. I've used extra strong gloss. It is not a very shiny finish. I don't know if there are different ones. This doesn't say anything about matte or semi-gloss or anything like that. As far as I know, this is the only one they make. There may be others, I just haven't found them yet. I usually have to get these online from different places. But I really like this. Again, it doesn't have a super strong odor, it dries very quickly, and it's compatible with the wood dyes that I use. So I'm just waiting for that to dry, and then I'm going to start installing the actual porch, and I'm so excited because it's going to be so pretty. As I said before, I love porches, and I really can't wait to see that detail go into the house. So thanks for coming along. Bye.